Right. Hello?
Kind of broke up there.
No, I
Can you
said,
still
who
hear
in
me?
here?
Peace.
Y'all supposed to be?
Peace to the family. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you
Peace
now.
to the family. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Fine.
Dulcinea, can you hear me?
Peace, Dulcinea.
Yes, we can hear you. Peace. Peace, Robin.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Namaste. Jumbo. Ashe. Shalom. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I am the Pashada. I am the Pashada. And this is the Sip Down. We are doing it a little bit later because we have a special guest and we wanted to work around his schedule. Today I'm drinking just my favorite regular iced tea. And this is the Sip Down, so we all are having our little beverage as we build. I want to welcome all my audience. I want to thank the people joining on from the HOK broadcast, from the HOK channel, and also from the Get Knowledge channel. If you're viewing this stream from those channels, can you please take the time to come over to my channel, Napashada, and subscribe? And you'll be able to get all the notifications, hit the notification bell, and get all of the great content on my channel as well as these other awesome channels. Today we have the father of Dr. Umar Johnson. He is Mr. Jamal Johnson. And what some of us, but not all of us, know is that this is a gentleman who works diligently in our communities, working with the youth, working with the hungry, working with the underpaid, underfed. So we're going to talk to him about the work that he does in the community, and we might also get to have him weigh in on some of the controversial topics out there in social media surrounding his son. So before we get to our wonderful guest, I'd like to bring in my co-host. I'll start with Robin. Welcome, Robin. Thank you so much for joining. What are you sipping on? And go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, I was ginger tea. I actually left it over there on the kitchen table. Didn't get a chance to get it because I was running over here to the computer. So hello everybody. Slipping on some ginger tea once I run over there and get it.
Okay, thank you. Peace, Dulcinea. Introduce yourself and let us know what you're sipping on.
Peace, shalom, everyone. And I'm sipping on some mango dragon fruit. I actually have a little apple whiskey as well that I'm sipping on in the background. So, and shalom, peace to everyone.
Apple whiskey?
Yeah, it's like a bourbon. It's kind of like a play off. It's a knockoff version of Apple Crown, but it's a
Okay.
E&J.
Oh, wow. Sounds yummy. Sounds yummy, but dangerous. So,
Yeah, I can only sip a little bit of that. So,
yeah, okay. Well, without further ado, let's move on to our guest. Welcome, welcome, Mr. Jamal Johnson, the father of Dr. Umar Johnson. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us while you're in transit. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So you did some work today. And before we get to talk to you about the work you did today, can you give us a little background on what you actually, how long you've been in the community working and doing outreach and, volunteering?
Well, actually, I would say as an adult, I probably began this work in 2017 earnestly. And it began because of at the time, the killings that were going on by the police upon our community. So I took up the banner to try to see what I could do to address those shootings by police officers at the time. And as time went on, about 2019, I started seeing the escalation of homicides in Philadelphia. So I made that my main focus, with the police killings being secondary. And so right now, since then, that's been what I've been attempting to do in collaboration with other organizations, but with great disappointment with those of the, for lack of a better word, conscious community.
So are you saying that you're actually disappointed with the type of participation or the aid that you're receiving in your endeavors to fight police brutality and police injustices? You're not seeing a lot of support from the so-called consciousness community, sir?
Well, actually, it's the opposite. I see when we had the George Floyd and other issues that happened in this country, I saw a lot of quote unquote conscious and other groups get involved. But it seems when it comes to the killing of our children upon one another or us upon one another, I don't see that much participation, nor do I see that being a main issue that's spoken upon by a lot of these so-called conscious people in these communities as it pertains to our youth.
Can I ask a question? What do you do in gathering the people? What is it that you do to gather the people together?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question, what you mean by gathering the people together.
Yes. What type of uh what type of organization do you have to bring the people together? You say you don't see too much of the people coming out and doing anything about it. So do you have a YouTube page? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have an Instagram page? Do you have something to call the people out? Do you give out flyers? Do you make phone calls? Do you go to city council? Do you go to the mayor's office? Do you go to the newspaper? Do you do something to bring the people together to promote what you're doing?
Well, actually, all the above, and if you want me to, I can actually list it for you.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Like,
okay, it's a little lengthy, but if
you don't have to list it. So I see what you're saying. So you do everything you can to get the word out. You utilize every outlet. What did you do today? Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, we had a gentleman that was killed yesterday. Unfortunately, he had just gotten out of prison after 32 years last year. And he was exonerated for 6 homicides. And unfortunately, he became a victim of a homicide yesterday afternoon. And what I and others do is following the homicide, once we're made aware of it, within 24 hours, we go to that community. And we try to engage the community to address the gun violence. Right now, Philadelphia has approximately 496 homicides. Last year, we had 562, which was the highest amount on record. And most of those are Black and brown people. So we go to the community and try to engage the community to let them realize they're part of the solution. Additionally, we try to expend resources to the community and to the victims of those who have been slain on the street. So we do this, like I said, after every homicide, no matter where it happens in Philadelphia. And we do this almost 7 days a week.
It's
terrible.
Go ahead, Roman. Go ahead.
I'm just saying it's really bad. It's really, really terrible. So I definitely have to applaud you for your effort in trying to get us to see how really bad it is and how really bad it affects a family when one of ours is taken from us.
Yeah, can we, speaking of family, can we talk about that with you, Mr. Johnson? Can you talk to us about why these children, these young men are killing each other? Does it have anything to do with their family background?
I can say that there are probably a variety of reasons why this is happening. I don't necessarily go with the general belief that it's all socioeconomic, because a lot of these children actually come from good homes, you know, and they actually don't even have to be involved. So when people say they're doing all this, you know, because they're trying to get money and that's why they rob each other, or They got these vendettas because of things that have to do with drugs. In Philadelphia, the number one reason for homicide amongst these youth are arguments, not drugs. So, I just don't go with that thing about, they got to make the money and that's why they're doing it. Secondly, I think one thing that's lacking, and this is where I have voiced to the conscious community more than once, is the male role models on the street. I don't see men in the streets here in my city. They know that I feel this way. I don't know why people say that men are scared or feared. I don't believe that. But the fact that we are not present where these young men are, even if they wanted to get a way out, they have to find us. And that should not be the case. We should be accessible so that they can leave that life if they choose to. But I think that, along with the fact that the community is not getting made aware of resources that are available to them. People get paid to do this work that we do. They get paid to do it. And to me, as long as Philadelphia goes, it's not being done proficiently enough because a lot of our community has no clue what is available to them with all this money that has been dispensed through all these nonprofit organizations.
And there used to be a lot of rites of passage programs, and they don't even have those programs anymore. And I agree with you when you say a lot of times the conscious community do not involve themselves. Like even on a lot of these YouTube channels, they don't even have programming that suggests stop the violence and the killing. They too busy worrying about other stuff that's not going to change. They don't talk about things that are relative to the home anymore. They're talking about other stuff. They're not talking about things that could help in the future. I had a conversation earlier with my sister, and we were talking about things that can help us in the future. Coming. And I was telling her we need to go in the past and bring back some of the old ways. And maybe some of the old ways, bringing back some of the culture things that we did in the past. And that may help with things in the future.
So what are some of those things? And are you doing that, Mr. Johnson? Robin, tell us what are some of those things, an example, and then I want to pass it over to our guest and see if he's maybe even attempting these things. What are some of those things?
Well, some of the older things we used to do was like elder circles. We don't have those anymore. Another thing that I know this was way back, but before a young lady even was interested in a man, in getting with a man or a man getting with a young lady, they spoke with your uncle and your uncles and the man, your father. Mm. They don't do that anymore. And young ladies, they spoke with, the mama. They had to deal with the man's mom. It's a lot of things that used to happen when, back when we were younger that don't happen now. The structures are all different. Back in the 70s, different versus now, where the family structures are different. Now you're just doing anything. You don't have to. What we were talking about is like this. Before you studied the family that you were about to get into. Now you can get into a family and you can get into a family where they're getting high and all kinds of stuff. And the situation is, it's like, say I was going to marry somebody and I had a child by them. My child still has to deal with that family. You see what I'm saying? And then if you say, I don't want my child with that family, that person's offended. You know what I mean? Because you don't want your child to go over there until, to deal with that family. They're over there getting high, smoking weed, playing cards all day. The daddy could be beating the mama could be beating the daddy. You don't want your child over there. They don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? And the kids are so young having kids these days. You know what I'm saying? They don't even care if their child go over there just so they can get a break from the child. Family structures have changed now.
Right. Well, I hear you. I want to see what our guest thinks about what you said. And is she on to something, Mr. Johnson? Is that one of the reasons why we have all these younger people just getting angry and killing each other in arguments? Because things are different now.
Well, I think that also we have to put in the fact that a lot of the children today are actually getting paid for their exhibition of violence against one another.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're familiar with drill music and know how that goes,
Yeah.
I mean,
Tell us what drill music is for the audience who's not familiar.
well, drill music is basically youth telling you not only are they going to kill somebody, but then telling you after they did it, you
Mhm.
know,
And they
and
love it.
it's ridiculous. But I mean, record companies pay for this stuff.
Mhm.
So these
You
kids,
know what?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I saw a video of this child. I mean, he had to be 6. He's like, I want to kill my mom. I want to kill my dad. And it is like, it's got like hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
And he's doing that drill music. And, you know, I see a lot of the rappers dying. I want to talk to you about that. Let's talk about how the rap is influencing the murders and how a lot of the rappers like Pop Smoke, what's the latest one? Takeoff. I don't know the names. I'm sorry if I messed up, y'all. The one who got killed at Popeyes. You know Mr. Johnson, who I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
The rapper.
Yes, I do.
Who?
I don't know his
What?
name, but I'm talking about it.
So talk to us about how rap is it a reflection of the murder? I mean of the climate of callousness and cold and apathy, or is it influencing the youth to kill? Which one is it? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think when we talk about rap, we're not talking about the rap of back in the 90s. We're talking about this new kind of rap where they're talking about their ops. You know, one ops got a thing with the other ops. So then they talk about the people they kill and they totally disrespect the memory of those they have killed, which makes the other people obviously extremely angry. So then they go back and retaliate. That's what's happening here in Philadelphia and some other cities.
Mhm.
And I think the fact that money is also a motivator for that, as well as the notoriety that people are getting on YouTube by doing this. I mean, these young men don't even cover their faces sometimes. So it's not like people don't know who they are. And in Philadelphia, the district attorney has actually called them out by name and told them, we're coming for you. So, I mean, you know, that's a whole different type of phenomenon when you sit there and talk about killing before you kill and then talk about it after you've killed, you know? And so to me, like I said before, one of the things that's a lack, because this is being done in broad daylight sometimes. This is being done on any city street at any given time. But what's lacking on those streets? We are. There's
Mhm.
nobody out there. There's nobody to be eyes and ears of the community. There's no cadre of men or women that are monitoring our communities. In Philadelphia, we have a shortage of police officers. We know that. But we also have a shortage of people who are welcome, who are willing to go out and monitor our communities. So as a result, our carjackings have almost doubled. Our homicides are again approaching another record. Our children are going into trash in stores with no repercussions. And I mean, this is just the way it is.
When you said trashing stores, they're destroying public property or private property.
Oh yeah, they're going into stores and just trash. They go in as a whole big group that's too large to handle, and they just go and grab what they want and tear things up.
For me, I think this has a lot to do with what
And
Robin's
I have
saying
a
about. Sure, go ahead. I just think it has a lot to do with the upbringing, the children of the millennials. Go ahead, Dulcinea.
And yeah, my question kind of ties into that. And I wanted to address, we're saying not enough men and women in the area. I wanted to ask you a double question. And thank you tonight for talking, Mr. Johnson. When it comes to getting people to come back, how do you deal with the people that have done so much to get their families out of that area and is one of the reasons why they don't really go back or anything like that? And then that they're putting their lives on the line when they do come back in that area and try to help the young men out or anybody out. They're really having a target on their backs, especially if they have money or anything like that. they're really open to possibly getting killed or hurt very bad just for coming to try to help people.
Right.
Well, I don't reach out to people who don't live out here in these areas. I reach out to the people who have to deal with this every day, who are a high probability of their loved ones being killed. So I don't reach out to celebrities as much. I have reached out to some only because they have a following. That's why I'm so disappointed with these influencers, because they influence these young people. Now, they don't encourage them to kill, but they influence them in other ways by giving them knowledge or and advice, but yet they don't address the carnage that these young people are putting on our streets. They're not talking about the fact that they know that they're killing out here. Instead, they want to sit and talk about minutia, like, who's having sex with who, or who's dating who, or this kind of foolishness that gears up all their likes. But meanwhile, our children are dying on the street and nobody's talking about it. Even the major broadcasts like the Breakfast Club, they know people in New York are dying. They know people in New York are killing one another, young people. But yet it's very rare that they will have a show only about that topic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's throughout the whole YouTube circle. There's very few people that I've heard that have dedicated a whole show just to talk about how we are killing each other out here.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
You know what, Mr. Johnson? There's something else that's that I noticed. Another topic that a lot of people don't want to really hear about, that people, they just kind of tune out, is the topic of the missing and exploited of our people. So these are the irony is these are some of the most tragic situations or topics that are affecting us. But you're right, it's not like a lot of people want to hear it. And let's examine right now while we have the time. Let's take it apart. Why is it that someone would rather hear about some drama with the sister Megan Thee Stallion getting allegedly shot in the foot by Tory Lanez, but then they have nothing, they don't want to hear anything about what's going on and the work you're doing to try to stop the violence and the actual violence? Why do you think more of our people are interested in topics like that instead of the most important topics, especially when they say they are in these type of forums like Black Consciousness or revolutionaries, B1? Why is it that they'd rather hear the insignificant things and not care about what's really important?
Well, I don't know if it's whether they don't want to hear it or the people who are in position to talk about it just don't talk about it. I mean, if you don't speak on these topics and you have a platform of millions of listeners that listen to what you have to say, how can you blame them for not listening to it? You're not talking about it, So what, like take the thing that's going on now about Stephen A. Smith and my son. Now,
yes,
those are two intelligent men. They could be talking about something more important than what Deion Sanders and Jerry Jones has done. Okay? But instead, they talk about that which gets the notoriety that it has, which is why I'm on here today. If they hadn't been involved in that, you probably wouldn't be talking to me right now. You see?
right.
So I'm saying, but this is where we put our priorities at. And we continue to basically enforce it. Every day we talk about everything but that. That's what we do.
But in Dr. Umar's defense, he's always talked about the violence and helping the young boys with the mental situations that's going on in the different areas all over the world.
Well, let me say this, first of all. Mm-hmm. I'm not on offense with anybody, so nobody needs a defense. What I'm saying is that when we are not talking about those topics, mm-hmm. we're putting our time into these other things that have nothing to do with the survival of us as a people, okay? And I'm talking about on a large scale. Sure, on a small scale, maybe there is some effect of what Deion Sanders did and what Jerry Jones did. 66.
I don't know nothing about that. I was just...
Okay, but I'm saying the point is that our topic has to be on helping our children to live and survive. They're killing each other. You can't get more detrimental to your race than have them killing one another. And that's what's
Right.
happening on these streets every single day.
Yeah.
You know, you can
Right.
open all the schools you want, you can give all the drop all the gyms you want, but if we're burying our kids every single day and not paying attention to that on the level that we do everything else, what does that say about us as a people?
Right. Real quickly, I want to say to the mods, thank you so much for helping me out. Please, everyone, hit the like button on these videos, especially. I mean, if you don't like it, hit the dislike button, but just participate. It doesn't take more than a millisecond, to be honest, to hit that like. And to the mods, please, if anyone's being disrespectful to our guests, could you just delete their comments? And I'm asking you to please be respectful to the guests and to everyone up here, because we're really at this. What we're doing is trying to find solutions. This man, he doesn't have to take his time to be on this panel, and he doesn't have to take his time to work in the community. And I want to talk to you about that. So I want to stay on this topic of what Robin said about, Dr. Umar doing his thing his way, you doing your thing your way. I mean, do you think that it's too much for just one individual to be focused on, to say, well, you're not doing doing enough. Your way of doing it is pretty much just rhetoric. I'm out in the streets really working. I mean, should we all? I mean, it's a very big machine, and we each have a component to it, right? Or wrong. I want you to comment on what I just said. Is it that some of us do the teaching and the rhetoric and the preaching, and then some of us get out there and are hands-on, or should we all just be hands-on?
No. I think this is a multifaceted problem that has to take multifaceted approaches. No, there's no one size fits all. And I do believe that no matter who's doing what, if their intent is sincere and it's for the betterment of us as a people, I'm all for it. The problem is when we stray off and get caught up in other stuff that doesn't directly reflect on our survival. Like I don't know a lot of these topics that people engage in that take it to a point where it lasts for weeks, and yet I hear nothing about the deaths that are happening in our communities every day. But yet we're spending time talking about things that are happening in Hollywood or how happening in somebody's bedroom. To me, that's not helping us. That's wasted time to me.
Right.
Can I jump in? Oh, sorry.
Sure, go ahead, Dulcinea.
I was going to ask how you feel, because I know a lot, especially in my generation and younger, a lot of the young men feel like they call these guys Pookies and Ray Rays, and they feel like women are really a lot to blame for what's going on in the single mother homes. So they don't feel like they need to step in and advocate for anything. They're just like, that's because they're single mother homes. Until women get that together, it's going to be this violence in the community. What do you say to that sentiment?
I think that man needs to check himself.
Absolutely.
I think that any man that is a man out here, and this is what it totally upsets me. I have been involved with many men organizations. I was very proud to be in those organizations. I have since withdrawn from those organizations because what we did 3 years ago, we don't do today. And I keep asking, why don't we do it? Now, one of the motivating factors, I believe, is the influx of money. The fact that all of a sudden now we have all this money coming in for gun violence prevention in our communities. So now you get money, you don't come out. When you wasn't getting money, you were out every day. You see? So now when it comes to the dilemma with the single mother and the kids, most of us come from those backgrounds. So how can we sit back and look at these women and say they should be doing more than they have already done? I mean, we should have stepped up a long time ago. We should be stepping up now. Anybody that has a large platform, to me, should have either a monthly, weekly, or a bi-weekly gathering of men and concerned persons in their community at some given point. There's no way you can do everything inside of a studio or in a house or in the building. You have to get out there where our children are and show them that we care. And we don't do that. So how can we possibly expect women to do that?
Well, I want to jump in and say, in all honesty, I think it's really important. We do need a coalition of men to be out there. But I'm going to be honest. If it's not running through I mean, you're a very brave man. You're doing a lot of sacrifice. But I think in the back of a lot of people's minds, they're like, I'm not trying to get killed out here. So what about that? When people are like afraid or cautious, they say, no, I don't want to get killed out here. Are they really going to listen? When we start to look at our own people as savages, just like, the people clutching their bag when they walk by. I'm going to come out here. I'm putting my neck out and I'm saying, I can't help but see a lot of, where I live, there are 18-year-old young men walking around. It's concealed carry, no license to carry. And there's 18-year-old guys with their pants sagging hanging out the gas station with 357 magnums on their hip. So I mean, what about the people who are afraid, or that's why they're not going out, or they don't want, they're worried about their own lives?
Well, this is what I say, and I've said this. All of these pro-black, all of these macho, to me, hyper macho men that are all on these YouTube channels,
Right.
They should be setting an example on the street. Okay, they should be the ones that are out, because they say that they're out here for us, right? They're here to protect the black people. They want to enlighten the black race. They want to do all these things. Well, the first thing you got to do is help us to survive. Okay, and you can't necessarily do that behind a microphone. Sometimes you got to get out there in the street and show us that you're willing to put yours on the line, because you're the one that's saying you're the king. Everybody's kings out here. Well, where are our kings at? Where are our princes? Because I don't see them. Okay, all I see is the little guys, which are our children.
Right.
I tried to start a program before, and I tried to get a plumber together, an electrician together. I tried to get all these men that I knew that were together and start programs where they would get like the little young boys together and they wanted to get paid. So I tried to go to the city council at a time to see if they could start a program that would pay the men, that they could train the young boys to do fix toilets and sinks and show them how to do, electricity and things of that nature. It went nowhere. But I will say that I tried to do that. But because I'm one of those type of people that is out doing stuff. I've had many events, all kinds of stuff. I go to the docks and try to get them to get the young boys so they can show them how to do stuff so they can start their own businesses. You know what I mean? So you know what? I got an idea on what I'm going to do and see if it'll work. Hopefully it will work, but I got an idea. But
let me say, quick, if I can. What I'm doing, what I have done, and what I will continue to do, I've spoken to the different levels of government here. And what I've told them is, why not pay people to monitor and support their own communities? Okay, you may be familiar with Town Watch. Okay, why not use that same concept and get the plumbers, the carpenters, and these people and pay them to do exactly what we need in our communities? We have the money. We have more than enough money now with this gun violence stuff. Mm-hmm. So pay people to monitor our communities, be the eyes and ears of our communities, and also pay people to teach our children what they may need to know. But see, the problem is this. We keep thinking that people are scared. I'm telling you, you put the money amount good enough, they're going to come out. I don't care who they are. They, just like you said, they want to get paid. I don't see anything wrong with that. Let them pay. If you got to pay them, pay them. Okay? But the thing is, right now, everybody's trying to use the excuse that people are scared. I've been doing this for years. I've never been threatened, never been attacked, never been assaulted. And
maybe you bring that program here to Delaware, because I try to talk to this new city council, and maybe you could make a change, because sometimes they listen more to another person. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, you got strong people. People in Delaware too. I know a sister out there. that's been fighting out there. But, you know, the thing is this, I think we truly got to start with the people who have our children's ears.
Yes.
And I've said this to Sanetta, okay? Y'all got the ears of these kids. They listen to y'all. They listen to the information, the knowledge. Why not slip something in there to let them, to remind them often about how they're committing self-genocide? Why not slip something in there to show them that there are resources for them if they want to do things? Sure, you can continue to talk about white supremacy, but white supremacy is not the ones that I'm looking at that's killing the other kid. Now, you can come back to me with all the knowledge of the conspiracy of this, that, and the other, and what they did to us in slavery. Okay, that's all done. We're talking about now. What are we doing now to save our babies? That's what we're
right. And I would like
think jobs
really quickly
do with it. Why don't you think jobs have anything to do
well,
with it?
real quick before you move on to that question. I mean, we're talking about jobs and we're talking about the actual people who are old enough to get guns. But I really think we're not focusing enough on the home life and
These kids are old enough to get
before they are in their I think we need to also focus on the developmental years, because I really believe a lot of this apathy and this coldness to take a life comes from their home life and being neglected. Can we talk about domestic and seeing violence in their home?
Yes.
So can we talk to you about domestic violence?
Yes, I'd like to address that.
Yes.
There are three things that I believe needs to be addressed with this gun violence: trauma, youth, and community engagement. The number one thing that is lacking in Philadelphia and elsewhere is community engagement. Why? Because that means you have to get up off your butt and go and knock on the door and talk to a human being and interact with them to find out not only what's going on, but how you can help. And that's not happening often enough. Because when we go and treat these kids for their trauma and send them right back to a traumatic situation, what do you think is going to happen? You know, but we're not interacting with grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, uncle, or none of these people. But yet we think we're accomplishing so much with these kids. That's ridiculous. So my goal, you asked in the beginning, what was I doing in reference to the youth and things like, I don't concentrate on that myself. I support those that do. My goal is community engagement. That's why I go out after every homicide, because I know that right then and there, the feelings are vulnerable. I know they're raw. So now, and I know they're looking for help because they just lost a loved one. And that's when I and others come in and say, look, you can help us to address this issue. These are resources you may not be aware of. Come out with us if you like, or contact your local representatives and let them know you're fed up with the foolishness that's going on. This is when people are more receptive. But most people who are out here that have these nonprofits don't go to these people's homes. They don't even go into the neighborhood. Okay? So how are we going to help a wounded person if we're not willing to go there and interact with that person?
Nepal, was you talking about like people that like live at home like with their grandparents and things of that nature, like say the grandparents raised them and their parents, they no longer live with their parents. Are you speaking like that, Mr. Johnson? Like because
I'm speaking on any level that a child exists amongst other adults or caretakers. We have got to connect with those caretakers. We can't just have.
Because like they can listen to their grandmoms when they get a certain age, they listen, and then to the people that are killing these little young kids, they're not even old enough to have guns. Okay, they take their parents' guns and killing people with.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
I agree, but you got to remember, these are children. They still have an innate need to be loved. They still have that in them.
So they must be
some of them have been damaged to the point of beyond. They haven't been securely attached, and then they become, they have radical attachment disorder in their early years, and then when they become post-pubescent, they're psychotic. So this is something we have to realize. I want to talk to you. I want to really keep holding on to this. Do we know? Are we going to admit that we have a high level of violence amongst our people with home life anyway, with corporal punishment, uh, just domestic violence in front of the children. Now I'm talking about male and female being victims, not just women. Do we want to admit that there's a high level of violence that's ingrained in us as far as our culture early on in home life? Or am I off base?
I'm 66, 65 years old. Now, when I grew up, a lot of the things that we now say are illegal that you can get locked up for was commonplace.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Women getting beat up, kids getting whipped. This was common. I grew up in it my own self, you know. So now we have DHS, we have all these people who are the policing of how we do our kids. Good or bad, that's the law. Mm-hmm. Now, as a result of that, I personally feel that the domestic issues and the many other issues are reduced by some of the laws because people don't want to go to jail and they don't want to have their freedom taken away. So they're not going to do some of the things they used to do back in the day. At the same time, if we do community engagement, we may see indicators that show us that there's abuse. We may see indicators that show us things are happening in the home, which may cause the young men to be out in the street in the first place, that nobody knows about, that nobody ever goes to the home. You see, and I'm not talking about going there with somebody from an agency. I'm talking about you, the human being, just knocking on the door and saying, yeah, look, y'all heard about the homicide? Yeah. Well, we're sorry about what happened, but, you know, has it affected you? What can we do? You know, can we work together on it? At the same time, analyzing the whole situation that might be happening. There are children that have come up to us. We are not trained. We are not paid. We are just concerned citizens. And most times when I go out, there's only one other Black man with me. And I'm telling you, I'm well known in the city of Philadelphia, and I can't get Black men to come out. And so myself and this other gentleman, when we're on that corner, within 24 hours after somebody's killed, there are women that come crying to us. The young guys come and give us the scoop because we're on the scene. So that, you know, they want to tell us anyway what's going on that maybe they won't tell the police officers. Okay. There's women that saying we need help. What can we do? This is why we have to have community engagement. So what you're speaking to about the crime, you're right. There's a lot of domestic issues going on, but a lot of these women aren't going to cry out, you know, but guess what? If somebody comes to that door, they might view something and maybe that can be an outlet for somebody to come in and talk to the young lady. I'm saying female to female might come and say, okay, look, I'll tell them this woman had a Black guy. Well, a young lady might come and knock on the door and say, hey, how you doing, my name? And then it may go from there. You see that, as opposed to me as a man trying to make it happen. The bottom line is we have got to engage with one another, and doing it on social media, to me, has been number one detriment to our children in reference to trying to get them on the right path so far, because we're not talking about it and we're not making it a priority.
It's just really bad. And the thing is, we got it so bad that we won't even if we seen it happen, we won't even tell. We won't even say anything. That's how bad it is.
Right. That's right.
It's so bad that we won't even tell or just not.
But
they don't even know who killed their kids.
But we don't hold each other accountable either, though. We'll sit there and watch all these men go to football games. We'll watch all these fraternities, sororities, Masons, religious people. All these people go in congregations, okay? But yet we won't go in there and ask them, why don't you come on out in the community with us? Why don't we go and reach out to the community? Why don't we talk to the community? They don't do that, okay? But yet you see how they all come together for this other stuff that they do.
I agree with you 100%.
It doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, our children are dying out here. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I've confronted Masons, fraternities, all these people, and asked them, why don't y'all come out? And guess you know what they tell me?
What?
Because the community doesn't want to hear it. Well, how are they going to hear it if you don't make an attempt to try?
You don't make an attempt. I'm agreeing with you 100%. It's a shame.
It is a shame.
A
lot of press, you may not want to hear this, though. I believe a lot of it rests with women because those men come home every night. Somebody feeds them every night. And those women could start encouraging these men to, look, I'm scared to stop at a red light because I might get carjacked. Can you start coming out, being on the corner for a couple minutes just to let people see that we have a presence on our streets? You know, you'd be surprised the impact of men on the corner. I'm not saying women are minimal. I'm just saying you'd be surprised at the impact when these young men see men on the corner. And myself and this other gentleman, we hold posters up. And the posters say, stop killing each other.
Yeah,
Silence the violence.
Well,
I'm with you with that.
We
I'm
do
with
this.
you.
We do this every time we go out.
well, I'd like to make a comment about the women. Um, in the communities where most of the killing is going on, like the senseless violence, women have a role of, I don't really, I take care of myself. I don't really need you to take care of me, or there's no man to take care of me. Like, I can do this myself. And they've been left to be doing it by themselves. So, that's not the community where women can turn to the man and say, hey, I'm vulnerable. I need you. It's a different era. It used to be, like Robin said, and like you said, there was a time as early as when we could go back to the early 90s, late 80s, where women were like, we need you as a man to protect us. Now it's like, I'm gonna get out there, I can fist fight, I carry gun, I do. So it's like women, I can't see where women would be appealing to the men. It's a good idea, but I can't see where the women would be appealing to the men for help when they've been left as help yourself. You know what I'm saying? Am I off base?
No, I think what you're saying is, me personally, I would be proud if my man was out there helping, like wearing shirts saying, when you kill a black man, you kill yourself, or if you kill your brother, you kill yourself. If my man was walking around if he got like 5 or 6 brothers together, and they was walking around with shirts on like that, and getting other brothers together saying, when you kill one, you kill yourself, and things like that, or some t-shirts like stop killing each other, you know what I'm saying? Find other solutions when you got issues. But they dealing with drugs, they dealing with killing each other because you owe somebody some money for drugs, or you owe somebody because they didn't pay all the money they owe you for some drugs, some stupid $20 or some dumb stuff. But if my man was out there helping, I would be proud of my man. But that's what he's saying. He's saying that the women are not saying anything to these men about helping, about going out here helping. They come home each day, but the women don't say anything to the men about helping, getting out here helping and stopping these young boys, talking to them. You know what I'm saying? Giving them some hack on how to stop doing this. Their lives are important. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't do this. They just, they don't do nothing.
Can you guys hear me okay? Is it okay now? I wanted to say, as far as my opinion, there's this separation between these older men that are using these young men. A lot of them are gang related, and they're using these young men as foot soldiers. So there's a lot of men that they're actually in their lives, and that's the reason why they've turned to this life, because there are older gentlemen that know that they can use them to peddle the drugs or go out and go and attack somebody else or their enemy, go out there, because these young men are so violent. That's what the drill music is about. Like, one of the big Chicago guys is Little Reese, and he's known because he's a known hitman. He's a known, I can hire this guy to go kill people. And he then raps about it. So there's a lot of the young men between Little Reese, G Herbo. They're known as the older guys can go and turn to them to go kill people. So, and when we're talking about the women talking to the men in that section, they're already speaking to the same. To me, they're not speaking to men that are going to be father figures. They're speaking to men that are in that lifestyle anyways. That's where we see a lot of women do big up that lifestyle, to be like, I don't want a 9 to 5. I want a scammer. I want someone that's in that lifestyle. So all they're going to do is just continue on perpetuating the same thing.
Well, that's a sad narrative on us, isn't it? As a community,
I wouldn't want no man like that.
I mean, the bottom line is, I'm sure there's more people that want to live a peaceful existence in the community than there are those who want to cause havoc and chaos. So the majority of us that do want the best need to go out there and present the best. You know,
Right.
one thing I tell brothers all the time, we never confront young guys. We don't go out there telling them what they should be doing and how they should be doing it.
Right.
No, we go out there as a presence in the community, okay, so that people can see that we care. See, and to me, when the guys come out here and start trying to tell these young boys what to do, now you got an adversary. Now it's a macho thing. See, no, we're not getting into that. All we're saying to them, read the sign. We say hi to you. If you want to say hi to us, it's cool. If you don't, it don't matter. 9 out of 10, when we go in the drug corner, they leave. They leave. You know why? Because they know people looking at us. And if they're looking at us, they're looking at them. They don't give us any problems. They don't threaten us. Because the bottom line, I truly believe these young people just want what they didn't get at home.
Yeah.
Okay? And somebody has got to be out there to give it to them. And to me, enough of us aren't out there doing it.
I agree with you 100%. Most of them don't have fathers or uncles or something because it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. They have had no home training. Nobody to tell them no. They just disrespect their grandmothers and their mothers. Point blank. They need their butts whooped. That's what they need. It don't make no sense. They really do. It's really ridiculous. They just disrespectful. Just going out here just doing all that they can. They end up in jail. And most of them end up in jail and they never had no child. Usually when somebody's laying 6 feet under and they ain't have no grandchild to leave to you. But you in jail and ain't got no grandchild to leave to me.
Right.
And you in there for the rest of your life. That's stupid. I'm not going to get no grandchild because you in jail for the rest of your life. For taking somebody else's life. It's ridiculous. It's pathetic. And that's what I put it.
What do you have to?
When I talk to him.
What do you have to say to that, Mr. Johnson? You can hear her passion, and what do you say about what she's saying?
I think she's totally correct, but I think that enough people aren't saying it to these young men so that they could think about that. And I'm speaking mainly about the people who influence them every single day.
Well, let's talk about the work that you're specifically doing. I want to hear about what your organization is, if you're working with an organization, if it's just you, where were you today? I want to hear the specifics on it. And if you can, throw in some statistics for us, so just to educate us. What did you do today, and what is the name of your organization, if there is one?
Okay, when I go out on the streets here in Philadelphia, I don't necessarily declare an organization because I know a lot of people don't want to be associated with an organization. So what we say is that we're concerned Black men that are out here trying to improve the condition. Now, there's an annual march that I do to DC every year with an organization called Stop Killing Us, SKU. And we march from Philly to DC to the Congressional Black Caucus. And we go there because we try to impose upon them what they ought to be doing. Now, before George Floyd, we were trying to get them to do something about the police. Then the George Floyd thing happened, and now a lot of the things that they put into the George Floyd bill are things that we also presented to them. Now, with the gun violence, we're saying, where are you at with all this gun violence? Because we don't hear a lot of noise coming from the Congressional Black Caucus. Now, they made a lot of noise about Sesame Place recently, but they didn't make the same kind of statement about this overriding plague that's just killing our children out here. So those are the two different things, and that's when I'm with the organization primarily, and that's when we are as individuals in Philadelphia. Now, as individuals in Philadelphia, I personally have gone to all the lawmakers up to and including the governor, and you may be aware that I did a 26-day hunger strike outside of Philadelphia City Hall, and I also camped outside the governor's house because I didn't feel that they were giving us the attention we needed and the help we needed here in Philadelphia. And as a result of that, some things have moved forward. Now, I've made the request for a National Guard, which I know people are totally against. But my thing is, if you're not willing to come out and protect your community, somebody has to. And if you want to keep crying about you don't want the Guard coming in here and imposing martial law and all this stuff, then bring your butt outside. Come outside and be that. You see what I'm saying? Not the cops. Just come out and be something visible that people realize that we have people out here that care about us. But if you're not going to do that, then don't be yelling at me about the National Guard.
Yes, and I applaud you, Mr. Johnson. We have 171 people in the chat right now watching. If you could hit the link, hit the like button. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Johnson, we have the community, some of the people would like to ask you a couple questions or maybe make a comment. If you don't mind, we'd like to bring us, there's a sister in the background, in backstage. She wants to come in and make a comment or ask you a question at this portion of the show, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
I think she dropped off. But anyway, come back in, Sacred. And if you do want to make a comment respectfully, commend the brother on the work and the sacrifices he does, or just ask him a question about this crisis that we're in, please hit the link and join, and remember to turn on your camera. So that's a lot, what you just let us know. How much of this, I just want to talk on a little bit about you as a person, personally, because we don't, even though we know you're a person and you have a life, we don't really look at the sacrifices that people make. By the way, shout out to King Shaw for the work he does in the community. He does similar work that you do. He's boots on the ground like you. How much of your day or how much of your week does this take up, or your life? How much time?
If there are 3 homicides, it takes up my whole day, because I have to get to each homicide site, and we normally stay out at least 2 hours. And then depending on what else may be going on that day outside of the homicides in support of other organizations, sometimes I leave at 7 and I may not get in till 11 at night.
Wow. Let me ask you on a personal level again. What about you emotionally? Of course, you can see the passion that Robin has, and a lot of us, we are killing each other. This is a form of genocide. It's self-destruction. So how do you deal with the emotional side of it? It must be taxing. Can you talk to us about that?
It's very taxing, but I think one thing I may have an advantage over some people is my military experience. And I think dealing with death and dealing with violence on that level helps me to be able to cope with this to some extent. Also, my upbringing from growing up in the streets of Philadelphia.
Wow. So when you say growing up in the streets of Philadelphia, you've seen violence like this all your life, pretty much, right?
Pretty much, yes. But I've also seen it subside, and that's why I know we can do it.
When was it? What was the era? And why do you think it was so effective, what was being done? What was being done? What was the era? What was being done? And why do you say it was effective?
I was in a boys' home in my youth. And in that boys' home, it was called the House of Umoja. And the House of Umoja used to address gang members. And what it was is that they owned they owned a large part of the block. And those houses housed only gang members that were from different gangs throughout the city that wanted a safe space. Now, one of the things you had to do, though, by living there, is you also had to help stop the gang violence problem. So we would actually go out to areas that we knew that gang wars were about to start, so we could be intervention from them gang wars. And the gentleman that took us out there, because he was so highly respected, we prevented many gang wars. The main thing is we took away from that, and what has helped is the fact that we did it on the ground, not in the house, not in the building, not on the computer. We went out there. And that's what I've learned, and that's why I do it the way I do it. We also had gang conferences where we brought all the major the leaders of the gangs together for a summit. And we did that for 2 to 3 years in a row. And eventually we stopped all gang wars in Philadelphia.
Do you ever work with the Panthers, the New Black Panthers, or the Panthers?
I actually worked with the New Black Panthers on a situation that happened up at Sesame Place in New Jersey recently. But not.
Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. Well, you may be familiar with Sesame Place, or racially discriminating against some children up in New Jersey. and they had it on video. And so the New Black Panthers had decided that they would take this on. I contacted them and told them I wanted to also be a part of that, me and a couple other people. And we coordinated. They came one day, then we came the next day. And eventually, Sesame Place did say, okay, we're going to change what we're doing. Now, there's a family that also sued them, but I'm not sure where that's at right now. But they did say they would give racial sensitivity training and it would never happen again. So, you know, we felt that we did have some impact on that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Again, family, if you want to come in and ask a question or make a comment, please hit the link and come in. And we are joined right now with Mr. Jamal Johnson, a community activist, as you see, one of our soldiers, a warrior, a leader. But you know, you can hear the I guess, can I say, disappointment and frustration in his voice. And it's very similar. I'm going to say this to you, Mr. Johnson, and Dulcinea and Robin. They joined the panel with the Sisters of the Underground, the Coalition, Underserved, Missing Virginia, these sister groups that do work to stop trafficking and violence against men and women. And it's a similar tone that I hear in your voice. The sisters they're very disappointed. They feel let down that more people are not activated and involved in the ending of violence and, you know, destruction. So I hear it too. What do you think about that, Dulcinea? Am I on the right track? Do you see, and Robin, do you remember how the sisters, their tone, do you see a similarity?
Yeah, definitely. It just seems like a lot of frustration of the lack of help, the lack of people really trying to be a part of these movements and work together. And I think there's a lot of frustration that we complain about these things. We're very vocal about our problems and something needs to be done and holding the government or holding white supremacy accountable. But when it comes to, okay, well, the community needs us to come together and start working and we can take power in our own hands to do things, that's when we kind of shy away, or not even kind of shy away. That's when no one's to be found, really. We can complain about reparations and everything all day, but when it comes to coming together as a community of what we can change, it's a lack, no matter what.
What disappoints me a lot, what disappoints me a lot is the protection of the mothers, protection of the women, the men when they do these things, the boys when they do these things. Did you forget how the mothers were going to feel when you took the life of their child? I mean, that bothers me a lot. It just takes so much from the mothers. Like, ugh, that bothers me so much that you just did not think of how that person's mother was going to feel. That always is the biggest thing. Like that protection of the womb, the protection of the mother. That's
And the fathers too.
Yes, I'm not saying, I'm not excluding the father. It's just that I just always think that, I guess maybe because I am a mother,
No, I know what you're saying. There's a tie. There's a motherly bond. I understand.
I always think of the men as the protectors of the womb. So I always think about, wow, they are the stronger. They're supposed to be protecting us, and they are hurting us. You know what I mean? I always think like that. So
there's a young rapper that actually mentioned that in one of his songs, that he used to send teddy bears to the mothers every time he killed someone. So I have a question about that, Mr. Johnson. How much of this do you feel is like street justice? It's one person that their cousin or family member died, and then they're going and killing back the gang members and everything that did that to them. And it's this cycle of just justice served between us without the police.
Well, like I said, in Philadelphia, the leading cause of the homicides is arguments. You know, not gang killings. Like back when I grew up, you know, we had gang war situations going on, and the drill music obviously contributes to that too. They are really quote unquote gangs, whether people call them gangs or not, because they're a group and they're on there doing their thing more than about 5 or 6 of them at a time. So, you know, but I do not believe they're the overriding reason why we have the homicides. I think you have to look at the fact that a lot of these kids don't know anger management, right?
Right.
They know how to control,
Right.
get upset, right?
Right.
Time, you know, one of the
I
main
think
problems.
I think it's excuse me. I do think that you have a good point. They have, like I said, there's some serious mental issues going on there. That have we spoken yet about the actual drug use besides the mental issues? What's your take on the fentanyl epidemic?
Mm.
Well, here in Philadelphia, we have one area that the drugs just are just tearing that place apart, and it's called Kensington, and this place is known throughout the country. So that issue of fentanyl and the opioids and everything else that goes on with that in this city, at least, we talk about it mainly primarily in recognition of that area of the city. Now, on an everyday basis, as far as our youth and them involving themselves in that kind of stuff, and that contributed to the killing spree that they be doing out here, I have to say I'm not very well versed in that.
Do you think drug use? Because I know I've seen documentaries and nothing firsthand, but where drugs are used to enhance the violence. I mean, for me, I don't think that drugs are even needed now, considering the state of mind of these young men and women. But it seems like the women are starting to do violence. Oh, that's another question. But let me ask you, do you see drugs at all, not fentanyl, but anything at all being used by these groups that are doing the killing, like the gangs? Any particular drug or no?
Yeah, they're involved. They're engaging in drug use, of course, different drugs, But like I said, I don't know if that's the motivating factor in them going out and doing what they're doing.
Now, I want to ask about the women. I noticed that I have seen a couple things on social media where women, young girls, are bragging about being shooters. Is there anything to that you can speak to us about how the girls are now getting involved in actually doing a lot of this? Not a lot, but I can see more and more sprinkles here and there where young girls are participating in this gun violence. Is that an issue that we also need to speak on?
Well, yeah, when I speak on shooters, I don't necessarily mean just the males. We do have female shooters. And not only do we have female shooters, but we have female agitators that cause these men to wind up killing one another. And that's where you have to start looking at these females and wondering why the number of homicides of young ladies rising. Why are they around this kind of violence?
Yeah.
You see, so I mean, they are part and parcel of this whole thing. It's just our youth. That's why I say our youth. I don't say just the men, the young men. I mean, the young men. We've had so many young ladies get killed out here. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So many, and it's a lot more than it's ever been. And we're talking about some of them even pregnant with babies in the womb. So now you're killing two of them at the same time.
They do here in Delaware. I could tell you that the girls are getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple trending. Well, I don't know, couple, but I think it was his girlfriend. But it's known he was affiliated, had those affiliations, and someone was coming to shoot him, and she got murdered because she was riding around in the car with him, and he was just like R.I.P. to her family, all this other stuff. But yeah, it got really big because of course people felt some type of way that she's not even a part of it, but just because there are a lot of young women that hype this up. They hype up being with these type of men and the lifestyle that it brings, and then they are caught in the crossfires.
They had one murder here where they killed the guy, put him in a trunk, went to the house, killed the girl. She had just had the baby and left the baby there on the bed while they killed her and left the baby there on the bed. So it's pretty bad here in Delaware, and we have a lot of cops everywhere, but we still have a lot of murders.
And to Sister Nepal, what you were saying about the drugs in Texas, it's a lot of, with the younger people, it's pill popping. It's a lot of mollies, just all kinds of pill popping, really. I've seen people just get pills and really not even know what they are and kind of just experiment and say, hey, what is this going to do? So they don't even know what they're doing. They're just popping pills.
Wow. Wow. We're here with, that's really sad. Yes. We're here with Mr. Jamal Johnson. He's a community activist. What do you consider yourself? I'm saying a community activist, but what do you call yourself? A soldier, an advocate for our people? What title do you feel comfortable with?
Concerned black man.
I know that's right.
Stern black man. Family, if anybody wants to come in and speak to this brother, find out how, oh, that's what I wanted to do. If you have any information where people can reach out to you, Mr. Johnson, could you share that in the share that with the mods, and they will go ahead and share, keep rotating it in the chat so people can get in touch with you if there's anything that they can do as far as volunteering. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Now you have to, excuse my ignorance. When you say shared in the mods, what does that mean?
Just go to the, you're on your phone. Just say where we can find you on social media. Because you told Robin that you have a lot of different outlets.
Yes.
Give us some so we can rotate that information so people can get in touch with you and also follow your work.
Okay, well, on Facebook, it's Jamal Johnson, SKU. SKU stands for Stop Killing Us.
Jamal Johnson, SK Youth?
Yes.
That's your Facebook, okay.
On Instagram, it's Out of Philly, OUTTAPHILLY _. And on Twitter, I believe it's Jamal Johnson by itself.
Jamal Johnson. I want to go back to thank you to the mods in advance. I see you out there, Silent K, to Hootie, Tony, everyone else who's out there. I think I saw Sacred. You came in. You were going to ask a question, sister. You could come back in. And all the beautiful audience members who are listening. And we all are on the same page as far as we want the killing to stop. But this gentleman is actually doing the work and making the sacrifice. I want to go back to what you said about your hunger strike. I think that's when Sonetta and I were driving you to the airport, if I'm not mistaken. You did this in 2021?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk to us about that 26-day hunger strike. Wow. Can you give us details on that?
Well, what happened was Philadelphia City Council gave the mayor a gun violence resolution in September of the prior year. And the mayor let it be understood publicly and privately that he would not address the resolution or the items that were entailed in the resolution, which were to address gun violence. So we continue to try to get the mayor to do it by protesting and talking, and he still wouldn't do it. So I took it upon myself to make it my mission to get this guy to acknowledge this resolution and to tell us what he would do. So what I did, well, let me say this. We started out with a small band of us, and we would go to the mayor's home, and we would protest outside his home. Then we went to his girlfriend's home, and we protested outside of her home. Then I undertook the hunger strike and sat outside of City Hall for the almost 4 weeks. And then he came down, and we negotiated about stopping the hunger strike.
That is amazing. 26 days. I commend you on that. And you know what? It's a real honor to speak to you that you went to those lengths to really make a change. So, family, we've been speaking to this gentleman, for this stern black man who's boots on the ground for an hour and 14 minutes, almost an hour, 15 minutes of his time. I want to say thank you to you. You're in transit. Where are you? I never did hear. Did you tell us what you did today? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I told you that I did the first thing I did was the protest rally for the men
right.
yesterday. Following that, I attended an event where a young lady that I support their organization, what they do is they make portraits of the deceased, and then they have the deceased family come and have a gathering where they can tell people about that person. And so that was happening afterwards, after I left.
Okay. And now you're headed back home.
Yes, I pulled over since I started talking to you.
And you know what? I appreciate you so much. I bow to you for all the work you do and for taking your time with us. I do want to ask you this last question. It may take a minute. I want to let you get back to your drive. It's late where you are, but I have to ask you, what do you think about us? You, especially being a military gentleman, a veteran. When we talk about our gun rights, our Second Amendment rights, and, I am pro Second Amendment, but then we also look at gun violence plaguing our community. How do you balance that out? Are you for gun control? I know you did the hunger strike, but what I'm trying to say is, do you want us to completely have let me slow down. Tell us about where you stand with the Second Amendment.
I, as a veteran, totally believe that we should have a right to bear arms, but not anybody.
Right.
Now, one of the issues we have going on right now here in Philadelphia is that our DA is being accused of allowing people to carry arms that shouldn't carry arms. And he believes that as long as they're not in the commission of a crime, they shouldn't be getting stopped. I don't agree. It's illegal to carry a gun without a license, then you shouldn't have a gun. Period. End of story. For me. As a result of the fact that people believe it's so bad out here, everybody has a gun. Mm-hmm. Now, how in the world are we going to rein this thing in if we don't even know who has a gun? So, but overall, I believe that as long as you're within the confines of the law, you should be entitled to have a gun.
Can I say something to that, Nepal?
Of course, Robin.
I feel as though that we should have guns. This year I lost my nephew. My nephew was walking down the street talking with his brother on the phone, and our brother just walked up to him. I'm not gonna call him my brother. It sounds right crazy calling him my brother, but black young guy shot him in his face and killed him. First, he pistol whipped him for nothing. Never met him, never knew him, just killed him, took his life. We still dealing with that. They ended up catching him. He got malice murder. So, I don't know how to deal with a weird situation like this, but I think that everybody should be able to carry a gun. But like you said, you really can't say who should be able to carry a gun. But yeah, I still do think that we should be able to protect ourselves, and should be able to have guns. But like I said, this killing that we got going on right now, it's crazy. My nephew
Right.
was innocent. He was innocent. This guy never seen him, never knew him, just killed him for nothing. He pistol whipped him and then shot him in his face and killed him for absolutely nothing. Never met him again.
Tragic. I'm so sorry about that. I'm going to let our guests respond to that, but I'm going to say, Sacred, come on in. Here you are. I'm going to let the sister in. Would you like to respond to that very sad story that Robin has shared with us?
It's only been 6 that we did that.
Sacred, come on in. Sacred, you want to mute out and turn off your background, sis.
So I'm hearing an echo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you have something on in the background.
YouTube.
Turn off your background, sis. Mr. Johnson, what do you say about this story? I mean, all of us sadly have a story somehow that links back to gun violence. I think as Black people, what do you say about her story, Mr. Johnson? I can imagine what you'll say, but will you share with us your comments on that?
First, I'll give my condolences, but unfortunately, I hear these stories almost every day.
Right.
I've been to the funeral. Sometimes we're out there and they haven't even moved the body yet. The body is still on the ground, frozen, in state. So I'm saying that to say that this is our reality now. This is our reality and we need to act like we know. And I personally don't think we act like we know that this is our.
Yeah.
Yes, it's our sad reality. Peace to the panel, Sacred. How are you, sister? Sacred?
I think you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, Sacred Energy.
Join you guys, but there's so much going in the background here. It's like a delay and everything else, so it's hard to like communicate with you ladies. But can you hear
We hear you. We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay, wonderful. Peace and blessings to you, ladies of the panel. Peace and blessings to our host, the speaker.
Now we have a background. Do you have anything open or no?
No, we can hear you now. Okay, wonderful. Peace and blessings to you, ladies of the panel.
YouTube, do you see YouTube?
I'm gonna have to leave because it's not working.
Go out, Sacred. Go out and come right back in, but close any other tabs. Go out and come back in. Well, I'll hold on for you. This gentleman has to get back on the road, but if you want to ask him a question, just go out and come back in. Okay. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for taking your time to do this with us. I mean that, because the last time when I met you, you were on the go. You were heading from one place. I've seen it firsthand. You were heading from Phoenix, and then you were on the way to, I believe you were on the way to do your hunger strike, if I'm not mistaken. What work do you do in Phoenix?
Well, in Phoenix, what I do on the West Coast is I go to Mexico and I actually assist the immigrants over there that are legally trying to get to this country. So I take things from different organizations in San Ysidro and outside of the Mexico borders, and I bring them into the gates to where all the immigrants are resting at and where they're, waiting till they can get over. And this includes not just Mexicans, but it includes Africans. A lot of people don't know
Haitians.
Africans over in Mexico that are trying to get over here too, okay, from Africa. And so we try to help them out as well as we do the other ones that come up from the Americas, the El Salvadorians and all of them too. Also in Phoenix, I work with the communities out there against the gun violence issue and the police issue that is still happening out there in the Phoenix and Mesa.
So they help them come over? Or?
Well, no, we just provide them the necessities while they're waiting to be allowed to come over. Because they're tents over there and they don't have anything except what people give them, once they arrived in Mexico. So we try to do stuff to make sure they can survive until they get, the approval to come across.
Wow, that's very controversial work you do. I think that's where maybe you and your son have something in common as far as controversy. That's as far as you go, right? Because I would think that you get a lot of backlash, to say the least, from the right wing, the Trump supporters, the conservatives, right?
Yes, I do. But the bottom line is the law says they can come, and the law is the law, whether you like it or not.
Oh, well, it's unfortunate, Sacred. I wanted to hear from you. If you wanted to try one more time, come back in. I know this brother needs to get back on the road. How much more driving do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm okay. I mean, I'm good because I really enjoy this because very rarely do any of these social media sites want to talk about this issue. They want to talk about my son, they want to talk about the controversy with my son, but they don't want to talk about this problem that we have plaguing our communities.
Wow.
His son gets
Go ahead, Robin.
No, I can see where Dr. Umar get it from. He's got to fight just like his dad. Just like him. To see where he gets
it. Is he your only son, Mr. Johnson?
No, not at all.
No.
Do you have a lot of children? Like when you, as a military, first off, were you moving around a lot? Like, is he considered a military child?
Yeah, he's a military brat.
I didn't want to say brat. So welcome. Yes, military brat. So Welcome back, sacred energy, sacred infinite energy. Sister, let's see. Everybody mute out and let's see if this works. Go ahead and ask your question or make your comment. Greet our guest.
Energy Empress. She a long name. Can't hear you.
You're muted, I think.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay.
I think I got it.
There you
Am
go.
I muted still?
No, we can hear you.
Oh. Hi, ladies. There's still a delay, though.
Peace to you, sister. Peace, Queen Empress. What would you like to comment on? And would you like to address the guest and ask any questions?
Yes, I would. There's a delay, though, so I apologize if I'm just sitting here not saying anything, but there is a delay. I just wanted to comment about. I can't. I'm hearing myself talk.
Just make your comment quickly. Oh, wow, that's too bad. Okay, I really wanted to hear from her. She always has some great input. But you know what, sis? If you want to type it in the chat, we'll put it on the Summer Jam on the big screen and we'll address it. Yes, if you're coming in, I see another person coming in. You have to turn your camera on. What about the going to the schools and dealing with in the schools? Do you do that? Like, just try to work with the schools, not just the children, but even like the staff and the security. What's that like? Because I think for me, I'm also thinking of school shooters. I know we're talking about our community, and typically we don't have our young men doing the school shootings, but there is still violence on in the schools. What do you do for this at the schools, Mr. Johnson?
Well, actually, I do support, and I want to say something. I'm mainly, you may think that I'm a leader of things, but I'm not. I consider myself a supporter. Okay, I'm not trying to lead anything. I've done my leadership time. So I'm here to support. So I support those who go to schools. I go and also talk at schools. Right now, what we try to do is we're trying to provide safe passage for our children going to and from school, because a lot of children are being shot on their way to or coming from school. So myself and other gentlemen go out when they come, in the morning when they get there, and in the afternoon when they leave, to make sure that they get safe passage back home. So that's my level of involvement at this point.
When you say safe passage, you actually have like escorts?
Well, we are outside to escort the children as far as they get off the premises.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because we recently had a sad shooting after a football practice where a young man was killed, and I believe it was 2 other people shot also. And that basically heightened the efforts, of addressing that issue, because, it had been happening off and on, but when that happened, it got a lot of exposure, and we took that very seriously. So we've kind of tried to up our existence in school areas. This comes back again to why we need to have people on the street.
Mm-hmm. They need to have parents at the bus stops anyway, because they've been jumping kids at the bus stops. That's good. That's smart. They've been jumping kids at the bus stops. They don't do that up there where you are in Nepal.
What do you mean?
And jumping kids at the bus stops. They don't have like the parents at the bus stops and stuff. Do they do that anymore? I mean, because my kids.
I don't know about parents being at bus stops, but I do know that people get jumped at first. That's what people. That's the thing about bullies. They jump the child. It's really unfortunate. It really is sad. Level of violence. When I'm listening to you right now, Mr. Johnson, my mind started to drift off to just like, it's overwhelming.
It is.
I mean,
I just think I
I can see where you get frustrated because you don't have enough people doing the work. But there's so much gun violence. I was just, for Mr. Johnson, there was a video of these children on the internet, well, a couple videos of them jumping each other, like the girls that I watched. And it's like glorified. How do you combat that? It's a culture. How do you fight against? I know we already covered all this, an hour and 30 minutes. I know you answered it. But when I listen, it's just like my wheels are turning. I'm like, do we go back to the old days, like when we did, you remember this self-destruction, all the rappers? Maybe we could do that. So my wheels are turning. Maybe we could bring the rappers together and they could just do a whole, remember Queen Latifah and all the rappers came together and did self-destruction? No. Maybe we should do that.
That's the best one.
I think we need to bring the parents out and the parents need to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it needs to be anybody distant. It needs to be the people that brought them in this world and that feed them and clothe them and love them. They have got to start seeing their family out on these streets.
Wow. It's very desolate, very bleak. I spoke about our brother in the chat and King Shaw. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He does similar work. He actually lost his daughter. He was doing the work before he lost his daughter to a predator, violent predator. So, I'm at a loss for words for once in a lifetime. Dulcinea, do you feel, you know what I'm saying? I want you to weigh in, Dulcinea. Robin's been weighing in. How do you feel about the parenting? Like, is it desperate? Does it look dark? Are brothers like this and King Shaw and the other people out there, are they doing this in vain?
I don't feel like they're doing this in vain, but I must admit, like, I feel a little, I don't know, like, it actually affects me a little bit because I know as far as like my parents and growing up on that side of town and then them just making me promise I wouldn't even go to HBCU. They were like, you just don't understand what it means to be in the community like that. It's not safe or anything like that. And there's the comparison of, to help, but then you don't want your children even exposed to certain things. Like, I'm glad that my son is on a certain side of town where I don't have to worry about those things. So it's like, how do you just balance that? And how do you help, but still say, like, I don't want to expose my children to the bad side of the community. It's rough.
I'm just simply saying that me and my sister had that conversation, and I told her that I wouldn't even say if I thought my child was in danger, I would move out of the city. Simple as that.
Are there days, Mr. Johnson, if you could just be candid, super candid, you've been candid, but super candid. Are there days when you just say, you know what, I can't do this anymore?
There has been recently days because I actually get attacked quite a bit. And people who say that they want to stop the gun violence, and because I don't get paid, people can't tell me what to say or how I go about doing what I do, and that irks people, But my main cry that I make often is, where's everyone at? And of course, when you say that, people say, are you talking about me? Well, if you're not out here, I'm talking about you, and a lot of people can't handle that, And
right.
When people come attacking you often, and you're the only one out there, it's like sometimes you want to just quit because they don't understand. We got to save ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it's like a slap in the face because you raised your children. Despite what people might say about your son, he's not. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna be careful what I say. he's not a detriment to the lives of our people. Now, I know all this stuff, but you get what I'm saying, Mr. Johnson. You didn't raise anybody to be out here killing and fighting and not valuing life. I want to address the sister's comment. This is the sister who was trying to get in and she had the audio technical difficulties. Sacred energy, sacred infinite energy empress says, a lot of the parents perpetuate the problem by setting the example of violent behavior, quick to argue and fight. Yeah, we did address that earlier, sis. There's so much to unpack here. I mean, all of a sudden, something happened. It hit me. I think it's when you were talking about the children, it just really hit me about how, you know what, I'm going to be honest. I think this is why people just don't get involved. They really are giving up. And I have so much respect for you, Mr. Johnson, that you don't give up because you are doing this and being attacked and making the sacrifice. Commendable, to say the least. Anyway, ladies, wait, let's get King Shaw's comment and then let's go ahead and close out. I want to have you back on. And I said this too. I got to get my sisters back on the coalition Underserved Missing of Virginia and the Sisters of the Underground. I have to get them back on. I got to get King Shaw back on. I keep saying it because this brother is right. Mr. Johnson's right. We don't do enough shows on these topics. I want to bring you back on. I will do it. Sonetta will bring you on as well. I really respect you. Let's get King Shaw's comment. New Black World Order, please go subscribe to his channel and his daughter. He has an organization for his daughter who was murdered. Justice for Tasia. Tasia die forever, Tasia. Let's see. Okay. King Shaw says, I say to my believer brothers and sisters, he's talking about the people who believe in the Bible and the Quran. This is sisters, this is day granny would say this is their granny would say put on the whole armor of God. Oh, okay. He's saying their granny would say put on the whole armor of God. Are you a believer? I'm glad he brought this up. Do you subscribe to any type of religion or belief or faith?
I am Muslim, yes.
Oh, you're Muslim.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum.
What about the Nation of Islam and the brothers who are Muslim that subscribe to the Islamic faith? Are they have they helped a lot? Have you seen a lot of participation with them in your movement?
I'm going to be strategic in what I say about this because I have talked to them. I have inquired. They have actually been a part of some of the efforts we used to do. There is some movement here, not anywhere near what I would expect. I'm very disappointed because I come from when the nation was feared in the communities. Mm-hmm. You know, you would not have this foolishness back in the day.
Right.
All right. Because the nation would have got with this a long time ago.
Long time ago.
But now, you know, they see what we see.
Sweet,
now, I know the numbers aren't like they used to be back in the day, but I personally have asked, when are they going to come out in the streets, whatever their numbers are, so that at least they will have a presence along with those of us who are already out here, you know. And so far, for lack of a better word, I won't say crickets, but it's been pretty mute.
Wow. I don't know about you ladies and the people in the audience, but this is today what we're hearing is another one of our brothers one of our people saying, you know what, I'm out here doing the work and we're dying. What do you want to do?
Yeah, it's an individual thing now. It's a shame.
I want to thank you for joining us. Is there anything you want to say, Mr. Johnson, before we didn't? And you know what? I'm going to tell you, we didn't really touch on what your son is doing, because this other topic is so dire. I'm not going to lie, y'all. I was going to ask Mr. Johnson a little bit about, what he thinks about what's going on with his son, but that would not be appropriate. That wouldn't be appropriate. I want to know, but not right now, because this topic is too grave. It's too serious for us to talk about frivolity and, media gossip. So I have much respect to you, Mr. Johnson. Can you go ahead and close out? Let us know your final words. I appreciate you coming on. I hope we can have you on again soon. So I'll mute out and let you close out.
All I want to do is, and the reason I came on here, and Sonetta and I have spoken over the years, is that I just want to try to, again, encourage social media influencers to try to put some space for this issue. Seriously, make it an issue, talk about it, engage with the young people that listen to you, and try to be one of the vehicles that we use to try to stop this madness going on in our communities. They listen to y'all. They listen to y'all. So talk to them and tell them to stop this madness.
Right.
Mr. Jamal Johnson. Yes, the father, the tree that bore the fruit of Dr. Umar Johnson, and he is definitely doing the work. This is a brother that we need to keep focused on. Follow him on social media, follow his work, and get involved if you can. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson, for joining us, and I hope to see you again soon. Please get home safely, and again, assalamu alaikum to you and your family.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you.
Nice talking with you.
You too. Have a good night.
Yes, peace.
Have a good night.
Peace.
Wow.
Ladies. We got to do something about that as mothers. I don't have a problem in getting out here at all. It's terrible. It's terrible. I really don't.
I think when it comes, it's so hard. When it comes to the younger generation, especially ours, we're way more individualistic. Even when he was bringing up the Nation of Islam, I can see that, because we're kind of just about us getting our families together. And once our families are good, secure, they're not worried about it, then we're not worried about it. And a lot of things that get us to be concerned about those things is when it hits us personally.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I need to get my t-shirt machine out to make us some t-shirts to wear. So I got all the machines and stuff. Maybe I need to get some and send y'all some t-shirts to wear.
We'll work on that. I would love to do that. I have to make sure that I keep groups and people like Coalition Underserved Missing Virginia, Sisters of the Underground, King Shaw's organization, this brother, Jamal Johnson, and others. Contact me. If you're doing work in our community and you don't get a lot of attention for it, come on, get in touch with me. I'll bring you on. We'll talk to you. I really love doing this, but it always is very heartbreaking. And it brings, even I talked to Robin the next day, I think even Dulcinea after the show, when we did the show about the missing women and the sisters and the men, oh my God, the heartbreak. It really affects. So imagine the people who are doing the work. If we just do it, we have a 2-hour stream and we talk to them and we're down. Just imagine these people, these amazing people. I love you. You are superheroes. I bow to you. I'm not even half the person that these people are. So much love to all of you. About Sonetta's email address, you can get it right from the chat. Thank you, Max Bird. I absolutely love all my mods. I love the audience. We're on the HOK, by the way, Robin.
Yeah.
You want to?
And don't forget, I have my own show now.
Done. I don't want to just make You can shout it out now. We can close out, or we can sit here for a little bit more. We have 16 more minutes. This is iced tea. I like to drink it out of a wine glass, though. Go ahead, ladies.
Unscramble Minds. You can reach me on 8 o'clock Wednesday nights. So far in December, Wednesday nights, Unscramble Minds. It's time for Delaware to speak out. So you can either put in Tri-State Speak Out, Tri-State Speak Out, or you can put in Unscramble Minds. That means unscramble your mind on Wednesday.
Right.
I'll be doing some different things. Yes.
All righty. There you go. Dulcinea, how have you been? I haven't sat down. You know what, y'all? I just want to talk about the SipDown cancellations. I just want to let you know there's only been 2, but it really, I'm not trying to be funny, it really hurt me. I missed you. I feel like you know how you love to go to school, like to a certain class or to school, and you like being there and you miss a couple, even one day, and you feel like you're really off. But I feel off not sitting with you ladies. I miss In Motion and even Naphtali. So yeah, but we're doing our thing.
Where's Naphtali?
Where's Naphtali? Where's In Motion? I know where they are. We're capping right now. We know where they are. They're living their lives. They're mothers. They're professional women, but they are going to be on soon. So Dulcinea, I miss you. What have you been up to?
I know I missed you guys so much. Like I was with my family for the Thanksgiving break, and then I thought I'd be able to get away, but I wasn't, and had like 2 weeks. It felt like it's been forever since I've been here, but it's been really good. We've had some good weeks, especially with my son. For those who don't know, he's autistic and nonverbal. So it has been a challenge, but now he's really getting into like the process of just having his own way of communication, kind of like what I was telling you before. And then he just really excelled lately. So he doesn't have a lot of freakouts or anything. He can really just go and express what he's feeling. So that's been a great change recently. So we're hoping that speech is something that we start to develop as time goes on. So.
Wow. And I love that. And love that you are focusing on his form of communication. And I think that does calm him down a lot. I mean, not him particularly, but with other autistic children. So he's vocalizing it sounds though, right?
Yeah, he does a lot of the babbling sounds still, and he is now, it seems like, focusing on like repeating different sounds that he hears and singing songs. So he doesn't
wow.
say words,
What does he sing?
like he's singing nursery. Like the ants go marching. He loves the Five Little Monkeys and different things like those songs. So he'll just be like da 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 da. He's
awesome.
How old is your
coming up? He's 3 right now. He's gonna be 4. He's 3. Can you hear me?
Oh, he's 3. Oh my God, he's
3, and he's gonna be 4 January 8th. So it's right around the corner. And he's already half of me, so I'll have to show a picture where I'm holding him and he's like all the way to my knees.
Wow.
And he's an avid swimmer, y'all. He loves to swim. Well, that is beautiful information. That's beautiful news.
And
You're a beautiful mother. Beautiful wife.
We did go-karts as well. So he loves cars and everything. And we were surprised. He wasn't even scared to get on the go-kart. And then he wanted to leave me and like, Mom, I can do it by myself. I was like, no, you can't. You have to go on the go-kart with me. But every time he would come back around, he's like, me by myself, I don't need you anymore. So he's very independent.
That's awesome. Did you let him do it by himself or no?
Not.
I mean, that's kind of young, autistic or not. I don't think I'd let my 3-year-old ride a go-kart.
No, not yet.
Even though it's supposed to be safe.
A little one, a mini one, and everything, but I wanted to still have a remote control that I can kind of take over if anything goes crazy. So,
Oh, I thought you meant the go-karts, like you can go to the little
oh yeah, we were at the go-karts where he was my passenger and I was like riding around and everybody's like, you did such a good job, because everybody's like here racing each other and I'm like on the side like a grandma, like, okay, no,
You're worse than me.
I am bad.
I used to be like that. I was like, my husband at the time, the father of my children, my son was about 4, I think 5 when I finally let him, and I was so paranoid. And it's just, they're low to the ground and they're not gonna flip, but I just imagine. But anyway, that's great. And nobody wants to be a passenger in that. I want to get into action and drive. So no wonder he was like, let me drive. But that is so awesome to hear that. You're so blessed. I really am so glad to hear both of you, Robin with her show, and you know, your family. Huh?
You only got one child? You only got one child?
Yeah, it's my one child. I do want more. We are going to try to have more in the future. But.
Well, stay focused on, you know, it's you got to stay focused. It's a blessing that you just have him right now, you know, because then you'll have to divide the attention, and that, you know, that can be more challenging. So yes, peace to the people out there. Anybody want to make a comment? You don't have to hit the link. Anybody in the chat want to make a comment about anything tonight before I close out? I'd like to do a good 2 hours, 9 minutes. Thank you to those who are tuning in. Anybody have anything to say? Let's see. Stay blessed, sis. Shalom. All right. Much respect to all of you. Oh, you know what I wanted to tell you, Dulcinea? I'll say it on air. Music is the best way for learning, no matter if you're autistic, if you're just, you know, raising your children, especially in the developmental stages, like early on, 0 to toddler. You know, they have Baby Einstein that was really popular, but you don't even have to do Baby Einstein. You can do your own type of music. You know, you can play Coltrane. You know, anything that's musical, and especially singing, that really gets the brain going. I tell everybody that I taught my children from toddler to school age through music. That's how I taught my children their timetables. You know, I can sing the songs. I think I did this before. Did I sing the 8, like 8? What?
They have a new one. It's called Gracie's Corner. That's really popular. She's a young black girl. I think she's around 12, 13. I'm not quite sure her age, but it's her whole family. They come together, and you have to look up the songs. The songs are like really, they'll have you dancing. Like, I get more excited about Gracie's Corner sometimes than he does, but they do that too, of like teaching them count to 50 or different things. They have like New Orleans beat, Caribbean beats. So that's really good. And I try to mix in like old school, like what my mom was really putting up, especially on these days and the weekends. Like, so he knows like music. We play good music around here. So he does. He's he loves music and everything. And people laugh because he'll start dancing and they're like, oh, he got dancing from you, because it'll look a little off. But it's okay. It's still to the beat.
Oh, well, at least it's to the beat. At least it's to the beat. Let's get these comments. Let me read some of these comments that people are making. Andrew Paris says, I have 2 grown daughters, and seeing y'all, yes, y'all represent, warms this old Jack heart. Much love. Thank you so much, brother. I want to read Sacred Infinite Energy Empress's comment. I was a preschool teacher years ago, and the children learned very well through music. Thank you so much for that input, sis. Yes, music is amazing. AAA, Elite Home Improvement, Nathan Yacob says, my son is learning Spanish and French. He wants to speak over 14 languages like his dad. Oh, okay. Damn, his dad is a beast. That's a polyglot. Okay. Well, learn. You can learn through music. Anyway, what's the channel's name? I think this brother I can't pronounce that. Maribontes? Maribontes. He wants to know what's the channel that when you were mentioning the Sisters Corner, what did you call it?
It's called Gracie's Corner. Her name is Gracie, and then it just has, it's a whole lot of songs. They have songs dedicated to pretty much everything, whether it's math, how to express yourself when you're sad or anything like that. And I'm telling you guys, it's lit. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm in the club. Like, where did I?
Oh wow!
Is it on YouTube or Netflix?
It's on YouTube, yeah. And like it was going viral on TikTok. That's how I found it, because a lot of parents were like dancing, like, "What is this?" And yeah,
Oh yeah,
we party to it.
there was a channel, not this one, but it was a channel. I forgot what it was called, but it was called maybe Learning Through Music. And I learned, honey, y'all. I'm not ashamed to say. Of course, I did further research, but I learned about the layers of the earth through that channel, and it was a good song. I can't. Oh, it was like they were going crust and mantle, crust and mantle, crust and mantle, crust and mantle. You know, the crust and the mantle, and then they went down to the. I was like, yes, this is awesome. So yes,
I'm like that too for memory and stuff like that. Just like the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now I'll know how to do math forever, because that stuff works best for me, better than just saying it to me. So.
Well, there's a documentary that I watch about the memory contest. They have memory contests, and some of the champion memory experts, or the best memory people, whatever people remember the most. They have competitions, and the woman who participates in it, and she is a Black woman, by the way. And but it's not predominantly Black. There's like Asians, European, Caucasian. I mean, but she's one of the best. And she said the way she remembers is they read a passage out of a book, right? Very, very long passage, very elaborate passage. And she said she remembers with things like, she tells herself a story. So if it says, nitrogen is, a gas that exists in our environment. Say she reads that, right? She'll look at it and think of a story. She'll say nitrogen, and she'll relate it to, like, I don't know, something in her life. Help me out, y'all. Like nighttime, or just like, so she'll say something like nighttime is when I went to sleep. She'll tell herself a relatable story in her mind to remember the sentence that she read. What I'm saying is, music helps us remember, and we relate to it. And also what you just said, my dear, those acronyms, my dear, say it again. What'd you say, my dear? What?
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. What is that? What does it stand for?
When you're doing math, you start with parentheses, exclamation points, multiplication. Please excuse my, sorry. Dear,
what's that called? That's called
addition and subtraction. Yeah, I forgot what it's called though. Yeah, that.
Correct. It's something order. Order. Whatever. This is just tea, y'all. This isn't alcohol.
Now we're into the different.
What is it called now? I need to know. Something order. Anybody put in the chat if you know. Robin, you know what it is? I don't remember.
Order of operations. That's
order. There you go. Order of operations. Yes, my rusty wheels are turning. Yeah, order of operations. So,
for those Facebook, they'll be like, how many people can solve this equation? I'm like, oh, I can. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I know the answer.
Okay, you know what? I never knew that. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I learned something. See, peace to you. Anything you want to say before we close out, Robin?
No. Oh yeah, I had stitches. I got stitches.
I know. Robin cut her foot.
Yes, I got 9 stitches. Yeah,
Well, tell them how you did it then. So what she was doing karate.
Can you?
No, I'm just kidding.
You walk or
my
you?
bar, I moved my bar, and one of the wine glasses fell from the top of the bar down into the big glass and busted. I stood there in shock for a good minute. Like I couldn't believe I broke. I think I was more upset about the bar than I was about my foot. The thing cut and stuck my darn foot.
Yeah, 9 stitches is a lot. That means it really like sliced your foot.
Girl, if I show you this cut, I took a picture of it. Believe me, it was blood everywhere. So yeah,
You got a picture of it? You want to share it?
I do not want to share it. It's disgusting.
All right then. I thought I might ask. All right, family. You have the rest of your night. What'd you say, Robin?
I said she's such a doctor. She would.
I wanna say that I'm amazed that you were actually out and about. Like
I'm in the house.
No, I mean afterwards. You were just like a trooper.
The doctor was like, get in the house and don't go nowhere because he had to give me medicine and all that.
Yeah, well, we want you to heal soon, get well soon. Get some arnica, take care of it.
Yeah.
Keep it dry and keep the ointment on it, your herbs, your African herbs and also some Neosporin, y'all. It's all about conventional medicine and naturopathic medicine. It's a holistic approach and also your attitude. So with that said, my voice is finally coming back since we're talking about our ailments. Woo! Listen, whoever's out there trying to put one of them curses on my throat chakra, no weapon formed against me, baby. No, it's just anyway, family. Thank you so much. What?
I was supposed to be out tonight.
You can still go out. It's still early.
Not going out. It's supposed to be one of them things where whatever color you wear, the basket that you bring, everything in is the same color as whatever you got on or whatever.
Listen, she has such an exciting social life, huh, Dulcinea?
I know
She's always
going to do one of those parties so bad, and you're already doing it. It's so cute. The little basket, and then you bring the little food that correlates in the drink.
I was gonna bring some white donuts, some white wine, whatever white I could find in the store. Now I'm sitting here home.
Yeah. We have to
sitting there in that chair waiting on somebody. Oh, baby, to see things my way. I know y'all are like, that is not just tea. No, it's just tea. It is just straight non-alcoholic tea. Anyway, 111, I see in the chat, there's a sign from the spirit realm that we did a great job tonight. I want to say thank you once again to everybody. I love you very much from the bottom of my heart. I really do. And I thank you for joining. For my haters out there, I love you for making my life complete because it's all about balance, right, y'all? If you don't have haters, you're not doing anything right. We love you, and we want to say thank you so much. We will see you on the next Well, I'm sorry, it's not Sister Sip Down anymore. The next Sip Down, because we want to be, what is it? Unisex. All right. Thank you. What?
I said sit down on HOK.
The Sip Down, and now we're on the HOK. So thank you. Shout out to Sonetta and HOK. Yes. What? Thank you. I love you very much, everyone. And your interview. Email me if you want to have an interview. Okay. Peace to the darkest minds of the light. Yes, to my brother Tahuti. Peace to y'all. All right.
Peace, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.